All right, we're here with Brooke Pleger. Brooke, moving forward here with the track and field season, we're looking forward to seeing how things progress and heading to national championships and hopefully bring home a national title, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
But wanted to talk to you a little bit about your time here at Bowling Green and just your career here. So let's talk a little bit about going back to the recruiting process and things like that. How highly recruited were you? Were you at all? And and then your decision to come to Bowling Green.
Well, I really wasn't highly recruited. Pretty much, when people did take interest in me, I had already decided on Bowling Green, so I didn't really have much of a recruiting process. I knew the previous coach that was here. I knew him through his track club. I had joined his track club, and so I participated in that. And that was kind of how I got introduced to the hammer in general. And once, because I was never really a great shot put or discus thrower, as we all know. So once I got introduced to the hammer and I was able to throw that, and then I threw the weight, that was more of what people started to take interest in, like for me at the collegiate level, was my ability to throw those events. I came in my freshman year and I threw shot and disc, kind of toyed around with it a little bit, but obviously when Matt came, we cut that out. So I really wasn't heavily recruited. I knew all along Bowling Green kind of felt like the right fit. With the coaching change, that was kind of when that first happened, I felt like my whole world was ending and like I had no chance, and I was really upset. But obviously I learned a valuable lesson that sometimes things happen for a reason, and you have to trust that everything's going to work out in the end, and obviously it did for me. But a lot of what drew me to Bowling Green was just the campus, the community. I liked, I'm from Ann Arbor, so I grew up just down the street from U of M, and everyone always asked me, well, why didn't you go to U of M? And I was like, well, it's kind of like walking out, going to your backyard. Like I wanted to get out. I wanted to go somewhere else, somewhere new, and I liked the feel of Bowling Green, and it instantly felt like home. So.
And I imagine, as you were being recruited, and even maybe early on in your collegiate career, you weren't somebody that people looked at and said, Brooke Pleger, she's going to win a national championship someday, or she's going to be a contender for a national championship.
Right.
That when did that maybe mindset kind of change for you to the point from, well, I'm a MAC contender, I've got a chance to score points at MAC, to national champion?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, for me, that was always my mentality.
Yeah.
So I came into Bowling Green with the mentality of like, I want to make an Olympic team. I want to win MAC championships. I want to make it to nationals. I want to be a national champion. And I feel like having that mentality right off the bat was what allowed me to achieve a lot of those things, because I was constantly telling myself like that I could and that I was capable of doing those things. I don't really think there was ever like a time that my mentality shifted. I think that coming in, I sort of always had that mentality. I don't know if the coaching staff necessarily did right away, and I don't know if like other people looked at me like that up until I started throwing well. But I'm sure when Coach Conley came in, I don't think that those were his thoughts. I'm sure he would tell you the first couple practices we had, they were pretty rough, and I think he was kind of like, we got a lot of work to do. But he always believed in me, and I always told him what my goals were, and he was always there to push me. So
your freshman year, you're sixth in the MAC in the hammer throw, which is not bad for a freshman,
right,
but it's not something that you would look at and say, she's going to go on to be a 3-time MAC champion.
Right.
She's going to go on to go to 3, national tournaments, be a 3-time All-American, all that. Something clicked.
Yeah.
That redshirt year, or by the end of your freshman year till the start of your redshirt sophomore year.
Yeah.
What happened there?
in large part the coaching change. I mean, what I was doing with my previous coach and what I do now with Coach Conley, I mean, it's drastically different. When he came in, I know I've talked about this a little bit before, but when he came in, we took everything that I had been doing for the last 2 years and we kind of like took it all apart and then rebuilt it and built it into something a little bit better and a little bit stronger. You know, and even from my redshirt year when Coach Conley first got here to now, I mean, every single year we've kind of done things a little bit different and we've changed things a little bit. And I mean, just from the way, like, I mean, I remember coming in my redshirt year, or, you know, his first year coming to one of our practices, and he made us run stadiums, and we were kind of all like, what? Like, we're throwers, we're going to run stadiums? And, like, I mean, just some of the stuff that he was having us do that first year, I mean, as time has gone on, he's really, like, grown as a coach, and we've all really grown as athletes, and, like, each year things have changed. So, I mean, I think that redshirt year was really like the turning point for my career, I guess.
You train differently than most hammer throwers do?
I think that there's yes and no. I think there's a couple like professional hammer throwers that are following a similar training program that I follow. But a lot of collegiate hammer throwers, yeah, they train differently. The type of training that we do is meant to kind of allow you to throw for a longer period of time. I'm not putting as much stress on my body. Everything that I do is at 70%, and we focus on the weight room as more of a tool rather than like big heavy lifts. So I'm rarely sore for practice because the point is to have good throws at practice, which isn't always the case. But I mean, we're trying to train through adaptation and adapting to each program that we do. So yeah, it's different from a lot of collegiate hammer throwers, but in the sense that like we want to throw for a long period of time, it lines up pretty well with some hammer throwers. There are some that train more like with heavier weights and focus more on the weight room, but about some of those girls are also throwing more than just hammer. So, because that's kind of the deal with that. I mean, I'm a one event person, so it's kind of easy for me to center my focus on one thing and really narrow in on that.
Some of your memories of BG and really some of your best memories of track, I imagine. I mean, you've been to 2 national championships now by the time we're recording this, but what are some of your best memories?
Well, definitely every single conference meet has been a memory, including my freshman year conference, even though I didn't place as high. That was just a memory because every single day we had like different weather, and the very first day we had like tornadoes and we were taking cover for hours, and then the next day it was like sunny and hot, and then the next day it was like freezing and rain, and so it was like the weirdest 3 days of weather ever. It was up at NIU, I think, so never go back there. But then the last 3 years at conference, I mean, those have been great memories, just getting the opportunity to compete with those girls in our conference. We have a very strong conference of hammer throwers. So those have been great memories. And my first trip to Raleigh, North Carolina, that was a lot of fun. That was my first meet after my redshirt season. So my redshirt year, I had broken our school record like a couple times, but none of it counted, obviously, because I wasn't in a BG uniform. So I kind of knew going out in Raleigh that I had the opportunity to break the school record, and I was really excited about that. And then I went like foul, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna compete my first meet in BG uniform and foul out. And so, but then on my third throw, I went like 64-76, I think, and I'll always remember that meet just because that was like my first meet in a BG uniform after my redshirt year. It was the first time I broke the school record, and I finally became mine. And I mean, you know, every time after that, obviously it's still mine, but to me it's more just like me breaking a PR, whereas that first time it was just like, now it's mine. Yeah. So that was very memorable. And then I mean, just the trips out to Eugene have been awesome both times. I mean, if anybody knows Coach Conley, he's a huge foodie. Like he knows all the best places to go eat. So any trip I go on with him, we always like eat so good. So that's always really nice. We've had like great barbecue and great sushi and just great everything. Imagine a thrower talking about food. But, I mean, and just getting the opportunity to compete in the USA Championships as well for the past 2 years, those have been really great memories. And obviously this year the goal is to go out and make a final. The past 2 years the first year I went, I was kind of like, just go and don't choke, just go and get 3 throws. And then last year it's kind of like, okay, I'm at the point now where if I had a good day, I could probably make the final. And then this year it's like, if I don't make a final, geez, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed in myself. So I mean, and then NACAC too. Last year, that was a great memory. Getting to go and train in the Olympic Training Center for a week and spending a week with Team USA and Kamloops, and then winning and getting to like hold my flag up. That was probably just one of the greatest memories that I've had.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
take pride in carrying the MAC banner as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I love our conference. I mean, the throwing community is not huge in itself anyways. And our conference, like all the girls, we all know each other. We all, get along. We all kind of cheer for each other because we all want each other to throw far because it's exciting when you're at a meet and people are throwing well. I mean, it's like being at a football game and the points are close. I mean, you want a close game. You don't want, when you want to beat someone, you want to beat someone when they're at their best, not, when they've had a crappy day and you've had, and you're just like, oh, I won, So it's really exciting having such a stiff competition and such a close group of girls that I get to compete against every year.
Talk about Coach Conley a little bit and just how he has helped you in your development over the past 4 years.
Well, I feel like what haven't I said about him in the last couple years? I mean, he really has. He came in and, I got to be a part of the interview process actually, kind of when Coach Selling was like hiring him, and his first impression of me was in that interview, and he always kind of makes fun of me because I had a whole list of questions I had typed up, that I had written out, that I was like ready and prepared to ask him, and it was like me and 2 other girls, and I was like, you guys feel free to ask questions, like don't make me be the only person, and I of course ended up being the only person like drilling him with questions. I mean, in every single question throughout that interview process, I mean, he answered like perfectly, like almost like he knew what I wanted him to say, kind of. So when he did get hired in, I was kind of excited. I was a little nervous because I had really liked the previous coach. So I was a little nervous as to like how things were going to be different. I mean, but he came in right away, and he's made such an impact on me as a thrower and on me as a person. I mean, that redshirt year, my sophomore year, I grew up more as a person than I think I did as a thrower. Anyways, like, I mean, there was just so much growth that happened that year, and I feel like so much of it was him helping me get where I needed to be.